In the release patch of King of Fighters 15, there's a team that stands above the rest in terms of raw viability, to the point that some of the greatest KOF players are calling this particular meta solved within a month of this game's release. Vanessa Point, Ralph Mid, and Terry Inker has proven itself to be a solid, meter-effective strategy with practical touch of death combos once the pieces have fallen into place. In Season 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels, the top of the ladder is infested with strong meta strategies like Zodiac Tri-Brigade, Emancipator, Eldritch, Drytron, etc., all for their strong gameplay beats to lock down their opponents with their own archetypes tools. It looks like without a change to the ban list that even Master Duels Season 3's meta is solved as of right now. Even in a game like League of Legends with their frequent patch changes, you see a few champions rise above the meta to dominate whichever lane that they're suited for, and or their particular competitive environment. And in a game with no patches and no competition, like Fire Emblem, there's always unit types or classes that end up dominating the meta. Fire Emblem Three Houses was quickly solved by the fact that you can have 100 flyers, warp them in, and then finish the map in record time thanks to their huge movement. Or in Fire Emblem 6, where in harder difficulties, most players would fall back on the big three: Rucker, Melody, and Percival, because they are the best units in that game. While these are all different genres of games, one where you can even argue is a physical game, there is one word that I use to describe the upper echelon of strategies: meta. Meta is best described as strategies that the community comes together and agrees as effective, which is why people will generally flock to these standardized ideas because it helps their chances of winning. Therefore, understanding the meta outside of the game has become key to a lot of players, including myself, as a way to improve. This is why I think tier lists have become the new trend in video games. Whether they be for shitposts or for laughs, tier lists have become a way to gather data and opinion on other players' thoughts, oftentimes players that are better than you. But there's also a lot of scrutiny when it comes to tier lists, as there can be a lot of wrongs because of biases presented in their own particular data. On top of that, tier lists are also often scrutinized because of how quickly people seem to pump these out, even if it's labeled as day one tier lists. But even with all this negativity surrounding tier lists, people continue to make them, as they're just a way to present their opinions in a more structured format. It invites discussion, both constructive and hostile, and oftentimes I find that the discussions in the comment section down below a controversial tier list to be more interesting, both for humor and for data collecting. At a certain point though, I think players have started to really treat tier lists as facts, and I think that's sort of a dangerous precedent to set. But I think that's understandable. You come to respect a player's opinions on a certain game's subject matter, and your opinions end up aligning with said player. If Faker, one of the greatest League of Legends players of all time, came out tomorrow and said Braum, a champion most commonly played in the support role, is the strongest mid laner in the game, Braum is SSSS tier, I would probably rethink what I believe in about the game. In this scenario, I could totally see myself blindly believing in what my unkillable Demon King has said here. Deep down though, we know that this isn't right, and that's not how we should approach tier lists or a collection of tier lists, because they are just that, a collection of opinions that even in a game that seems quote solved, things can change. The most common example of this is in Super Smash Bros. Melee, a game with no patches, no changes, and yet Yoshi is still rising up in the tier list thanks to a player named Amza and his efforts with this particular character throughout the years. I do think though that when looking at tier lists, there are a few factors that stick out to me, with of course a few rare exceptions. I find that looking at a collection of lists, it's easy to find what the extremes within the game are, the worst and the best. I find that between players, it's easy to figure out what the best characters in the game are and what the worst characters are. It's easy to see in a game like Street Fighter Third Strike that a character like Chun-Li has reigned as the queen of the game, while 12 plays like you have two broken thumbs. While the top and the bottom of the list look to be, and I hate to use this word again, quote, solved, it's the middle of the list that oftentimes gets muddied and debated amongst a lot of the players because their matchup spreads in the game tend to be a bit more spread out. Therefore, the players forming opinions about them have biases on where their main stands. Tier lists can also be challenged by the level of play that you are at. At a casual level of the game, it really does not matter what character you are playing as long as the character is fun for you. I often hear in League of Legends that champion win rates do not matter until you hit Diamond, because everyone's understanding of the game below Diamond is poor. I know someone that likes to play Yukiko in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle and still gives us a difficult time, because we are not playing at a level where Yukiko being the worst character in the game matters. One of my favorite tier lists of all time is a Guilty Gear Accent Core plus R tier list, where the teacher lets his 6th grade students play the game in their own bubble and opinions start to get formulated in their own circle. In this tier list, a character like Potemkin is considered one of the best because these students do not know how to do motion inputs and figured out that the long range pokes that Potemkin have are great poking tools to chip away at someone's health. In this scenario, Potemkin is not a grappler but a mid-range zoner, and a character like Byakuya is low tier because no one understands the Byakuya playstyle, they just want to go in. When in reality, anyone that's played this game with a little bit of a competitive mindset are fully aware that this is incredibly backwards. Byakuya is probably in everyone's top 3 best characters list, and Potemkin is rated probably on the lower side of things. Of course, this 6th grader plus R tier list is a little bit on the drastic side, as I think most people that play fighting games are on the competitive side due to the nature of the game, but I think it's a great illustration on how your level of play can sometimes not matter when it comes to character strengths. I still absolutely love tier lists and the discussions that can go into them. It's an easy way to digest a player's opinions on certain topics, but they should be just that. Opinions that help you gather opinions on the subject matter. I think tier lists should bring up topics of discussion and conversation to help understand why X player said such things. However, with that being said, if I catch anyone saying that the Byakuya theme in UNICLR is bottom tier, then I'm automatically going to disregard your opinion. This has been JaeAIK, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.
ないんだ。